All right, we're going to call the January 11th meeting of the Macon County Board of Commissioners to order. A small crowd tonight, but smiley faces out there, so we welcome you all as we partake in Macon County's business this evening. Any announcements? I've got one. Some of y'all in this room know I'm a Georgia alumni, and my wife are a Georgia alumni, so I was in Indianapolis last night for the game, and
So what's
that
the
was
announcement?
probably
Move
a
along.
highlight. Bear with me, I'm building up to this. I'm building up to it, Commissioner Bill, building up to it. So while I was at the game, or before I walked into the game, I texted our county manager, and we decided we'd have a gentleman's bet. So our county manager gets to wear a Georgia hat
Now?
tonight for our meeting.
Ship my ticket.
I'd quit, sir. You can quit right now.
Ship my ticket. Things I do.
That's a good
Is it
fishing.
pressure?
I like it. That looks good on
That's
you.
good fishing.
Go Dogs.
I thought you forgot.
No. Anyway, any further announcements? Let's all rise for a moment of silence, and I'm going to ask the newest Georgia Bulldog to lead us in the pledge.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of our country. Pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
No public hearings tonight. Public comment?
Yes, sir. Anybody else want to sign up for the public comment period?
All right. Marshall Platt, Community Building.
I just have a few questions.
Sir?
Marshall,
Come on up to the podium here. Mr. Platt, you're being filmed and they can hear you.
All right, that's fine,
Not a background check on you.
that's fine. Couple of questions. First one is regarding the Robert C. Gardner Community Building. I'd like to know what the primary purpose is. I know it serves a lot of functions, but what is the primary purpose of the Robert C. Gardner Building, Community Building?
Just what it
Doing
says, it's a community building, it's for,
Okay.
of course, it has a gym in it. For a lot of community meetings of different organizations, and of course, it's used year-round, the sports part is. Basketball, volleyball, because it's basically what it says, it's for the community.
To build community? To build community?
To build community, it's for them to use.
Okay.
Little League basketball uses it, every season. It's used continually every day. The county manager can speak more of that.
Yeah, and Marshall and I have met. We've met once. I know he's met with Seth numerous times.
Yes,
And we actually have a meeting again on Thursday,
that's correct.
so.
And I've never done this, so I don't know the process or protocol for it. So originally, I wasn't going to ask any questions, but then when I got to looking at the agenda on here, it raised more questions, so I realized I did need to put my name on the list to speak. Because I wanted to become more involved with the community and the board of the rec park. And so I noticed on 13A that there's appointment for Recreation Commission, 5 seats. And it appears that I have missed the application deadline. So I was curious as to, was there an application appointees, a need for applicants, appointees advertised? Because I wasn't aware that there were 5 seats that needed to be filled.
I know that's something our rec director's been working on for some time now, and we actually have discussed with, there's also some bylaws on here tonight. He was working with our previous attorney who retired, and now he is going to work on these bylaws with our new attorney. And so we'll have to remove the bylaws tonight, but as far as the appointments go, I think they need to be, it was the recommendation of the rec director to have those on here, so he can again get the Recreation Commission to begin meeting again. It's my understanding that as they were working on this and we switched attorneys, had one retire and our search for a new one, it kind of fell by the wayside, but this is something that the rec director is wanting to get started right now this year to get back up and running again. So I can give you an application form at our meeting on Thursday.
Okay.
Now, are these meetings open to the public?
Yes.
So, I mean, would you be interested in at least, maybe taking the first step and coming to some of the meetings and?
Absolutely.
You know.
That's why I'm here. I've never done this before, but I'm throwing my hat in the ring.
Well, listen, I appreciate you coming out. It's nice to
Yeah.
have somebody that cares because, it's something that a lot of these kids and seniors and community takes pride in.
I have spoke with the director, Seth Adams, many times in the past, and I spoke with him again today for over an hour. And I have expressed interest in utilizing the Robert C. Carpenter building for community functions, to build functions and community. Some parts of the facility, for what I want to use it for, currently are not allowed. Those things, I hope we can discuss on Thursday with Derek and Seth. But that's my purpose of being here today, is to find out what the true purpose of the community building is. Is it for building community or a way to raise revenue for special interest?
I mean, I'm not
Special
looking to
interest to me would be like the Chamber of Commerce or the gun show, which is, they're all for-profit.
I think if you look at our rental rates out there, you'll realize that it's not for profit.
Right.
It doesn't even pay the power bill.
I understand. It is very reasonable, which is why I'm interested in it.
What was your interest, what, if you got a certain,
Dance, but utilizing the gym, not the front room, the multipurpose room. Currently, there is a policy that says only sneakers are allowed.
But they do have a floor, though.
Yeah, there's a wood floor there, just like the high school gymnasium has a floor.
But we bought a protective surface at some point while I've been a board member, so you can put across that, so it protects the wood floor.
It's a polymer now.
Right. Which raises another question. The dance community that I'm involved with, most people will come in with their shoes, their street shoes, but they will take them off and use soft leather sole shoes, which are not going to scratch up the dance floor or the gymnasium floor. We don't allow boots. We don't allow that. We don't want to mess up the floor. We want the floor to be clean. So some people dance without shoes, dance barefoot.
Sure.
So,
It just gets difficult of how you tell you to do one thing, and then the next group says, well, they got to do it.
right,
So you kind of got to set a policy that everybody has to follow
right.
with that. And I think that policy is you can use it for a dance floor, but we just got to, put the mat out and protect the floor.
If we put the mat out, then I have to put another floor on top of that mat. We can't dance on top of the mat.
Okay?
We just want to
Bobby?
dance on top of the floor.
Bobby? Would this be something that Cal East School might be interested in working with this gentleman on?
We already have a program, similar to what Mr. Platt is proposing, I believe.
A dance program?
He's been to some of our dances there.
Well, I mean, what about the facilities? Could we use some of the facilities?
Sure.
Is that something that, if he had his
I
own
mean,
program?
if you can get with Bobby down at Cal East School, the Heritage Center at Cal East School, Bobby can fill you in a whole lot better than any of us can, but it's widely used for those kind of activities. I don't know how often you dance, but.
I'm familiar with that. It was my idea to utilize the Cowie School the way it's being used. I have talked extensively with, not Bobby, I think I might have met Bobby once, but with
Stacy Guffey?
Stacy Guffey, yes. And it was expressed to me that the building is not available to rent at this time. So I went elsewhere.
That's not right.
I have a text.
Uh,
I have a text from Stacy Guffey saying that the building is not rentable at this time.
It certainly is. As
And-
far as I know, Bobby,
We have no.
it's
policy.
county-owned building.
It's a county-owned building.
We own the building, the county owns the building.
That's good, that answers one of my
So
questions.
I would pursue that if,
Is there,
I think that would be a good alternative.
Derek, is there a way to put these out somewhere to the public with rates and availability and maybe a schedule? Is
Yeah,
there-
but we got a lease with Cowley Schools, so it would have to, you know,
It has to
whatever's
go
gonna,
through
we'll
them.
have to look at the lease and be in accordance with that lease. I mean, they have pretty much, under that lease that we're under, they'll have pretty much control
And
of
they're
that property.
subleases.
So,
Yes. Yeah, but as far as use of facilities out there, we have a schedule of rates for size and time for everything. Of course, outside, we don't charge for outside, but, the auditorium and the meeting room, we, call the school and get those. We try not to encourage duplicate events, because then we get market saturation and we don't have good attendance at either one. It's not that it's not for them.
The dances that I'm explaining, what Bobby says, is it's folk dancing. And the whole purpose of folk dancing and the community is respect of self and others. And that also pertains to the buildings. We are not out to destroy any floors or any buildings or anything. We are inclusive in nature, and we do not turn anyone away, even if they want to come in and dance and they don't pay. We still do not turn them away. Because we know that if they like it and they come back, they'll probably be helping us organize or keep the community going, dance. So
Well, I
that's
encourage
what the
you to go to
community
meeting
is all
Thursday.
about.
yeah.
Derek will have a list of, if community, the only problem with it is the schedule.
Well, and yeah, and you gotta, you know, right now, I mean, I think they're pretty, we invested a lot in that floor, and like Jim said, you know, if you start setting, you know, you can have the mat down, but this group can't have the mat down. It's best just to have that, you know, unless you're wearing sneakers, and so I think that's why that policy was created.
Okay.
But again, I know you and Seth have met numerous times, and you know, that's something like Josh said, when we get the rec board up and going, that'd be a good topic to maybe present and let, for consideration on, and let that board maybe kick that idea around a little bit, or.
Okay.
They used to line dance in the big room down there, the big room that you're talking about. That won't work for folk dancing?
The
On the
multipurpose
left, sir,
room?
Josh,
Yeah, the
on the
big room.
far left, yeah.
Where they did the aerobics and everything, when you walk in the building, to the left, at the very end of the hall, that's a pretty big room.
Yes, we looked at that, and the Franklin Squares danced there, and there was some salsa and waltz workshop instructors and students that danced there. It's the floor. It specifically needs to be a wood floor. Now, there are some options that can be implemented on that front floor, but it would involve a portable dance floor that is removable. It's if you use sneakers on concrete, you have the potential to twist an ankle, a knee, a hip. So we need the foot to slide on that. And so that's why a lot of dancers will bring their street shoes in, but take them off and use dance shoes that are soft leather. So that, because a lot of our dancers are my age and older. So, yeah, as long as, so it's, I know I've gone way over my time. But,
Good luck with Derek on Thursday. I'm sure
Yeah, I'll
he'll
see you
come.
Thursday.
all right.
Bob McCullum, he laid out at the Starlight Disco. I don't get that.
You have to tell everything you know.
Mr. Hubbs might remember that place.
All right, anybody else for public comment? All right, we'll move on to additions or adjustments to agenda.
If we could, Mr. Chairman, from the consent agenda, I'd like to have a chance, think our attorney would like to go through these bylaws for the Recreation Commission before they're adopted, just to see if he has any comments or feedback on them, and discuss those with the rec director. So we can remove that item from the consent agenda.
All right, I'm not seeing it on the consent.
Okay,
agenda.
and it wasn't, it would just,
Okay.
I don't want it to be implied that,
It was there, okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Now, Mr. Chairman, I don't know if our attorney has anything, but there will be a need for a very short closed session, with no report coming out of that.
Okay. All right, we get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Shields. Second by Commissioner Higdon, all in favor? Aye. No reports, no presentations. Old business update on Economic Development Administration grant application request for matching funds. Mr. Bob McCollum and Elaine Eisenbrom, Equalization Initiative, welcome.
And joining us tonight is Juanita Wilson. She's my co-chair counterpart.
Hello, Juanita.
representing Eastern Band of the Cherokee. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to open up tonight with, I'm not a Georgia alumni. But from 1979 to 1984, I worked staff with the University
Oh,
of
really?
Georgia and had faculty tickets to all their football
Oh, yeah.
games during the Herschel Walker years.
Well, I hope you will.
So I remain a fan, go Dogs. I was glad to see that last night.
Thank you, Derek.
Has somebody got a picture here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one's-
You got it. Yeah, okay.
Looks good.
I'll help you pass those around a little later. Now, so y'all have had access to these. When I was here, Elaine and I were here last month, we did not have the plan back from Equinox here. So now you can see some visual of what we are, of what the planning. There's been multiple agencies, people from Macon County, Town of Franklin, state agencies, Eastern Band of the Cherokee have all been involved in this process. We're not completely done with it yet. We still have some public sessions to go, but this will give you an idea of the plan that's pretty much been settled on here. And I hope you can see the prospects there for the community if something like this were to actually take place. We had, also there was a second one. This was just an artist rendering as if you were standing where the mound is looking back at for the car bays actually on the side of Dan's Auto there. That's just one proposal for how to augment that building or be on the side of a new structure there. We had a meeting of all the partners in Cherokee on Friday. Chief Sneed asked us to come back yesterday and visit and present all of this new information to the business committee. So we were there in November. Tribal Council approved participation in this grant. And then they gave the business committee two directions to go. One was to transfer the Dan's Auto building to us to use as value in the grant, or to go on as co-applicants on the grant and then come in with the cash amount there. And that's the way they decided to go yesterday. They will be co-applicants on the grant with us, and they will come in with the cash amount. They will not meet again and decide on the cash amount until our window has already closed, or until the tribal council meets again. But I think it is fair for us to consider council new, and I'm not putting words in the chief or the council's mouth here, but they know the numbers as well. They were willing to offer the business value in there, the building value. That was $400,000. So they know what we needed to make this grant successful. I would suggest, but I can't give you a dollar amount until they vote on it, it would be a like amount that would be coming in support of the grant. And Elaine, if you will, read Chief Sneed email that he sent us.
Chief Sneed today wrote to me, based on yesterday's business committee meeting, council is aware that there will be matching funds required to satisfy the grant requirements. Because we do not yet know what the amount of matching funds will be, I cannot specify a dollar amount, only an understanding and a willingness to support the project through the EDA grant. I hope this helps. And that was in response to my question for him to help you guys out with a number. And that's his response.
So the grant request, we're actually shooting for the $5 million. And we have this value, which I just took a shot at a minute ago without an exact value on that, plus an additional $260,000 that we have. Some of our own money in the game there, and we have Dogwood Trust at $160,000 therein. We have some others on the line. They haven't committed yet, but they know they have to commit within 2 weeks because our window is closing on us there. So we're still asking for the $100,000 from the county. That works out to be 1.7% of the total grant, if we were to receive the total grant. If we raise $1 million and get $5 million, that's $6 million. And so we're asking the county for 1.7% of what could be a real game changer for Macon County and the town of Franklin.
I will add, we had a conference call, I guess, on Thursday, Bobby?
Friday.
Friday, and on that conference call was a lot of the shareholders. I was joined at the county, on the county level by Derek and Tommy Jenkins. Juanita was on the call, Bobby was on the call, Stacy Guffey was on the call. The chief put the call together, and there were several other board members. Barbara Duncan was on the call. Some folks I really didn't know what was on the call. So it was a very interesting discussion. You can still see that there's still some, as far as getting the final plan down, we did not hear from, it went all the way from where the Eastern Band, they might even take over, to purchase their own property. That was part of that discussion. So it was sort of left, but it's good to know that you're going to be co-partners. Because without the Eastern Band and I wasn't speaking for the board, but I spoke for myself that, and Tommy agreed that we were, and Mainspring, of course, is a huge player here. Mainspring owns everything to the east of the mound, with the exception of the Huskers property. That's the old Burger Chief that me and Paul would remember. And everything else is Mainspring. And of course, if you look, the original plan was going to be more green space and less buildings and less business. And so there's still some discussions going on with that. My response to the call was, when the chief called on Macon County, Tommy and I both said that we would be very much interested in following the Eastern Band and the Mainspring's lead as they go through their process. So, and I think that's where we still stand, as far as I'm concerned, with the Niquosi project. There was some members of the Niquosi board there that expressed some reservations. So it's a work in progress, to say the least, right, Bobby?
Sure.
Yeah, it's a work in progress.
We're on the
So-
front end of it.
So still don't know who. We understand the town of Franklin, they just had $10,000 reserved before. And that may be in doubt now, so.
You don't know that.
So we need to, it's up to this board, but I'm just telling you the report. And Derek, what do you want to add to that call?
Is the grant, is it not a rolling grant?
It is a rolling grant.
So it's not, I think that was one thing I took from it, was the date's not an end-all be-all, it's a rolling grant cycle.
Can I respond to
There were
that?
some worries
please.
about what would happen 15 years down the road. I think Alderman Culpepper brought that up during the call. I think we just sort of left the call. There was a lot of unanswered, what's going to happen if they just pull the plug halfway through. And so they're just, I think that
If who pulls the plug, Ron? If who pulls
the
the plug?
funders, the funding.
Okay, let me speak to that for a second in response to what you said about rolling. So we have had conversation from the Economic Development Administration, which is the agency administering these dollars. They have already received more requests than they have dollars to give out on this rolling grant process, which was designed to be first come, first serve. They have not made any decisions, and they encouraged us, if we can get our application in, within the next 2 weeks, they encouraged us to still come on board. They like our project. They like that we're partnered with EBCI. They think it's a really fantastic project. So yes, it's rolling, but we are up against a really firm wall on getting it in.
We still don't know how much the Eastern Band's gonna contribute.
We don't know an exact number, but they're going to make sure that this project is feasible.
But anything else you want to add from the call, Derek, you'll take on the Zoom call we were on?
I just, to echo what you said, I don't think anything was finite when we left the call. It was, like you said, a work in progress. And what Mr. McCollum said, I left it as a work in progress kind of thing. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Paul.
well, you mentioned the town of Franklin's contribution or commitment. I mean, this is a big chunk of land downtown Franklin, North Carolina. And I was a little amazed when you presented last month that their contribution is $10,000.
That's
A lot of money.
past. That's the past contribution.
That's the past contribution.
Pardon?
Well, I think y'all are aware of the difference in revenue base between the town of Franklin and the county. They can't give at the same level. I mean, there's no need in us asking for something they can't give. I mean, that's just numbers.
I'm just
Yeah.
throwing it out there. What is the town budget?
Probably, be scared, maybe 10 million.
I can tell you that, if I remember this correctly, Justin said to us that the amount of money we're asking for is greater than the town's whole budget. So
Okay.
that would indicate that it's under 5 million, but isn't that what he said?
I would think it was in the 5 to 10 range.
9.2.
9.2?
Oh. Huh.
Yeah, I figured that. Is that counting enterprise fund? Yeah, it's counting their enterprise.
And ours is 55, well, probably 60 this year. So if you're looking,
They also,
And to follow
whereas,
up on it, Paul, some other folks that was on, Ben Lassiter, who is on the member of this DePlacy board, from Mainspring. We had a lot of conversations with Ben, and he was on the call. I don't think he ever said anything. But also Jordan Smith, who is the director now of Mainspring. He was on that call. And so some of them, and Justin, I would categorize Justin's comments as, how would you categorize them? He was questioning,
Yeah, he had some concerns.
he had some concerns, yeah.
concerned about their commitment.
No, concern about the everything, I guess about notifications or keeping informed, is that what if I remember right?
As I remember, and again, I hate to speak for.
And you just have to listen to make sure, but I'm just saying we had a lot of stakeholders on the call and a lot, everybody would like to see this happen.
Oh, yeah.
But, I know there's some real concerns from a lot of people where it says Cherokee Restaurant. And because that's just I think Bobby would tell you, this is just it's more or less something to get started on. That nothing etched in stone.
The county's been involved in dozens of these before. This is a site plan. It's a big idea going
Yeah.
forward. Let me address some, go ahead.
Okay, so, pushing down. So I just want to share that I got a call Friday from Jordan saying that they very much wanted to get back in step with each other. They wanted very much to partner with us and move forward. So he and I actually have a meeting next week, as soon as he could do it, just talk about how we strengthen our relationships. I'm not sure how they got off the rail like they did. That was part of the confusion, is where's this negativity coming from? So that's why you didn't hear people say much, is because there wasn't really any substance to it. And I feel confident that Jordan and I can start up this great partnership that we once had, get on the same page. Whatever it is they want to be always informed of. They have a board member and a staff member on our board, so they get all the minutes, they're at the meetings. It's just a little confusing. But that aside, I believe that we can start working on strengthening wherever that weakness, wherever that crack happened.
Who's Jordan?
Jordan Smith,
He's the new executive director.
yeah, I'm sorry.
I
He,
apologize.
that's okay, that's
I'm a lip
okay.
reader.
Oh, okay.
Paul was
Well,
a
I
member-
will,
Paul
I'm
was a
fine.
member and an officer of when he was back in the Little Tennessee watershed. So
Yeah, and I've worked as a grant funder to them with Cherokee Preservation Foundation, so I've worked with them since Paul Carlson. And so Jordan and I discussed that, and we felt like there's a lot of good history. We just need to get on the same page and get that respect
We
for
would
each
look
other
forward
back.
to that one.
I think
I
we
think
can,
that
I
would
think
be
we
the-
can do that.
a
And the
good
other
first step.
The other thing I kind of wanted to make a note of is our discussion with council, business committee, with the chief's office is pretty much, this is contingent upon getting the grant. It's not like you're going to award us money that's just going to stay with us. We're going to have to get that grant, and we do need your help moving forward on that. So appreciate anything you can come through. Thank you for listening.
And I was leading up to something, well, come on. Okay. The $10,000 that the town committed kind of jumped at me when right above it is the community funds. Is that from the community, what is the community funds? Is that the,
Community funds is private donations. Private donations?
oh, okay, it's not part of the community funding pool then?
No.
Okay, that
No.
was, okay.
I will explain again, as I did in the meeting the other day. There are some people that have some cold feet over this. This is a bold, it is not, it's one of the stranger grant opportunities I've ever seen. 28 years with the federal government and state councils and commissions. This one is, because it falls under the Economic Recovery Act. Paul, are you hearing me okay?
Oh, I can.
Okay. Because it falls under that, the constraints that are placed on it are they're very wide. It's a wide road, and we have a lot of leeway on how that money can be spent within the project based on how much money we raise going in as to taking on this project in different phases. It can't be done all at once. So in that, we can't give specifics because we don't know exactly what we're going to get back from them is a limiting factor. We understand that we can't give you specs and dollar amounts on everything. I know that that's a concern, and it has a lot of, like I say, some folks have got some cold feet here, but let me say and be very direct in this. There have been a lot of behind-the-scenes communications here. The place for that was in our boardroom. It was not behind the scenes and out in public. If our partners have issues with what's going on, that needs to come up in the boardroom and let us address it there. Don't approve going ahead with something and then if you find something you don't like in it later after you've already approved that, go behind the scenes and try and nix it. Okay, and there's some of that going on. This is a generational opportunity here. And when this goes away, I don't know that we will have that opportunity again. So that's my sales pitch. Gentlemen, I'm trying to be a part of the Niquosi Initiative Board here and try and, in a leadership role, help steer individuals and agencies in a way that does something real good for our community. And I hope that y'all can see that for what it is and will participate with us.
If you're looking for direction, I'm gonna keep the same stance that I offered last meeting. I just feel like there's a lot of volatility here, a lot of different people. It's hard for me to pledge all this funding when I feel like it's a lot of different pieces in a lot of different direction. Plus, I'd like to see more of a plan for the funds. I understand time is of the essence. But like I mentioned last time, I want to see Mainspring here. I want to see Mainspring heavily involved. I feel like for some reason there's a light clash. I'm not saying there is, I really don't know, but I want to see them here. I want to see this, a joint effort. And
Well, it has
that's
been.
when I would support this.
Up until, well, it still is. They have their organizations represented with 2 board members. and they have as much say in our organization, and they participated in our strategic planning. They participated in the development of our
Did they approve this?
Yes.
yes,
They're 100% on board.
they were at
They
every
are
one
on
of the
board.
they were at every one of the planning sessions on this.
They have voted in favor of every, they voted in favor with every vote we've had at our board session, because we've had unanimous votes on everything that we're doing relative to this. I think it's really important for this group to really be thinking about the advantage to Macon County. We have an opportunity here that's unprecedented if we move right at this moment. I think we're getting hung up on a couple of relationship things that happened in the past. We've been working that out. I think Juanita's scheduled meeting is going to hugely make that better. And I think for you guys as leaders of your community, you know that we can fix any kind of minor relationship problem because, as I said, the votes have all been in favor of this. There's always, in anything you do, going to be rumblings. You guys know that. And so we've had some rumblings. The chief called us all together. He was excited at the end of the meeting, excited enough that he called me on a Sunday and said, come into our meeting tomorrow, yesterday, and let's make this happen. They also said at that meeting, we need the county on board. And so that's why we're here tonight, is to let you guys know this is your chance to bring millions of dollars into this community and take a step forward and see this thing built. It's unprecedented in the United States to have something like this. Macon County would be the lead, and that's really obvious based on the Smithsonian picking us up, which you all know about. This is an incredible chance. We've got 2 weeks to get it done, and so I implore you guys to think about the community and what you're doing for them and to make the right decision.
Macon County has always been the lead when it comes to Niquosi. We were
Thank
the
you.
first ones to contribute to anything to do with Niquosi.
We appreciate that.
And we've been consistent. I think in my personal view, it would be better if we had firm commitments from Mainspring, the Eastern Band, and the town of Franklin. It makes more palatable to this board, I think, if we had firm commitments from them. We've not saw that. I mean, I talked to the same people Juanita talks to.
And they're looking for your firm commitment, so we're, stuck.
Yeah, but I mean, it's helpful.
It's
Those
true.
are partners that long after, it's really up to for the biggest partners, the Eastern Band. This is
They're
the
on-
Eastern Band's
100.
mound, it always will be. And so, when we see something that says, here's what we're going to do, because we were even, just a few weeks ago, the chief, way he talked there on our phone call. He was talking about, just maybe the Eastern Band doing it all. That was part of that conversation.
Well, they voted yesterday, and their vote is very clear. It is that they're going to be co-applicants with the Niquosi Initiative, go hand in hand after this $5 million, bring it to Macon County and get this project done. There's no question whatsoever in where Eastern Band stands. They're on board, ready to rock and roll with us and with anybody else who can come on board, and we welcome with open arms anyone who will.
There's good things about living in Highlands. I feel like I'm shielded from a lot of stuff. There's probably a good thing about me being on a flight to Indianapolis last Friday when I missed that meeting. But I don't understand. You look at this from up here, from 10,000 feet, and you look down on this project of the plans, the opportunity, it just seems like an absolute home run to me. When you look at it, I'm like, holy cow, this is a lot. This is a huge grant for a very minimal amount of money that we're gonna have to put in. And the opportunity that it could bring to Franklin about from an aesthetic standpoint, tourism standpoint, historical, just all the reasons are numerous. I don't know, but I don't know why, it makes zero sense to me why, I don't know, y'all keep talking about the local politics or players, or I don't know why the town of Franklin's hung up on it. I don't know why I've heard Mainspring mentioned tonight again. I'm shielded from all this, so I don't know. But again, for me, just looking at it from a whole, it seems like grand idea, but if there's major hiccups, I mean, I would like to know about them. We can public discuss them, but I don't know what those are, but I don't have a problem. I mean, good grief, if we put in 100,000 and get a $5 billion renovation to that area of town, I don't know, I'm from Highlands, but to me, it seems like a good,
You remember-
seems like a good
Thank
deal
you.
for Macon
Jimmy,
County
you
as a
think
whole.
back to the park and when we were working through all that for the park. This is the same thing on, except the park up there is on a lower scale, but not really. You think about what all went on, and you think about what we had to put in place, you worked on that very difficult, and it was,
Oh, yeah.
it's hard
It's
to
there
put
now,
all the
but-
players together. And that's where, I think that's where we're at here. It's just a matter of putting, we wanna know that the people that especially Mainspring and the Eastern Band, we've not saw that communication, when we left that conversation, you know, is where's the money gonna come from?
Right.
You know, and what's gonna happen to the money in the future? That was another real concern, that some aldermen brought up and others during our conference call. So,
I don't know, like I say, to me, it just seems like I don't know.
This is a worthy project that warrants in-depth planning. And my concern is, I've known about 6 weeks, you guys have probably known that a long time. But all of a sudden, we gotta apply for a grant within 6 weeks, gotta commit $100,000, when a lot of other players are stumbling around on committing. Why did the Eastern Band, their meeting cycle is why they wouldn't commit?
They're committed.
They're committed.
They can't put an exact dollar amount on it until tribal council meets
So you
again.
just call them off cycle on their
Yes.
meeting days?
Yes.
And they're kind of waiting on you guys to.
But we've partnered with the Eastern Band, and I'm not throwing, but we're glad they're there, the rec park, the monument we built out there, never did come through completely, so, it just seems like people are hesitant to commit to this thing. And one other issue that we have is I represent taxpayers. And over the years, we contribute money to nonprofits. And that's a very touchy issue to me because I'm taking a taxpayer's dollars and allocating it to a nonprofit without their input other than trusting me, which few people do. But we allocate $75,000 a year to fund nonprofits. We've done that for this year. Now we're here at $100,000, and throughout the year, we'll have another $50,000, $100,000. We wind up about $250,000 a year in nonprofits when we've obligated $75,000. I mean, you know, so that's my hesitancy on this. I wish we could say, hey, we've got a budget cycle, we're getting ready to go into a budget period, that we could work this into a budget would be a whole lot easier for me, but that's just me.
Well, you know, I think you mentioned last time, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you mentioned that we wouldn't have to put the money up unless the grant actually comes through.
but you have to set it aside out of the budget. I mean, it's just like you have, if you get a home equity loan at the bank, that money is took
Sure,
out
it's
of the
just not
county. That
spent
taxpayer
unless-
dollars is out of the circulation.
Right.
You have to set it aside.
It's obligated, we're obligated.
But it's not spent unless the grant goes through.
Yeah, oh yeah, if the grant falls, it's over.
It's over, but if it doesn't, you get the money, the county gets the money
I
back.
get
Who
it.
is the liaison to the, what is, I never did hear Tommy on the Economic Development Commission. Did we ask him that? Who,
We
is that
talked
you,
about them
Josh?
last time, so.
As far as,
Are you on the Economic Development
Yes.
Commission? Have y'all had this discussion?
no, I have not. I have. Again, my reservation is Mainspring, point blank. I feel like, I made it clear, I made it clear last meeting, like, they're not here, they're disconnected, and I feel like that's a sign to me. I feel like you guys are trying to achieve the same goal, and I understand. I have faith that you can repair that relationship, but you're coming to us to pledge money while there's still a relationship that's not there. And, you know, you're asking me to pledge $100,000 in good faith that everything works out in this next meeting. I just don't feel comfortable. I would love to see Jordan or another member, strong member of Mainspring stand here and say, this is what we want. This is, you know, a vision of everybody on this street.
It's clear that Mainspring is on board because they're doing the same thing as us right now. They're getting money from the state and from the battled battlefield or battle some ground funds to work on the east side of the mound. So they're busy doing the same project. So they're on board, there's no question about that. As I said before, apparently there's been a little bit of communication thing, but they're raising, I don't know exactly how much money, but a lot to do this project.
Have you spoke to Mainspring since our last meeting
Oh, yeah,
about this?
yeah. We had this meeting with, that
Just Friday.
Ronnie was on.
They was on the
And-
Zoom.
and then
I mean,
Juanita-
Nick Wassey and Mainspring, have you guys met alone about this issue since the last meeting?
Through our board, and Juanita talked with Jordan Smith, so leader to leader on this.
We had a board of
Yes.
directors meeting just Friday morning.
Okay.
You're
Thinking of-
looking for something outside of the formal institutions here. They have representation on board. Everything that you see, everything that we have come to at this point right now has been done with their cooperation and their approval. I don't know what else it is that they need to be offering you to get you to come on board with this project here. Are there differences of opinions on exactly how to carry that out? Well, sure. Every project that y'all have, you have those discussions. And let me point out something else here. We're an independent 501c3. We are not part of Mainspring, and they are not part of us. We are partners in this. That's the way this was set up. The Board of Commissioners' job is to set policy, and it's the Georgia Bulldogs' job over here to carry that policy out. What we have is policy set by our board, and the leadership team now is trying to carry that out because we don't have, well, we have alone, we have an executive director. We do. So now we're at that point of trying to carry that out. I don't know what else there is in the background that needs to be clarified here. Gentlemen, please don't
Thank you,
let
Bob.
this opportunity pass us by. I'm done.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for hearing us. One
you, Linda.
concern I want to express, I teased Elaine about this. I said, Elaine, if you don't write this grant and we don't get it, your job's a lot easier, because we'll carry on. The corridor is our big vision, but we want this to happen. We want it to happen because it will bring the Eastern Band and the county and town together again, like they have always operated. What concerns me is what we keep hearing from full council when we meet, from at least this side, is what's Macon County putting up. We can't answer that, but they keep asking us. So I just have a concern that if it's dragged on, we might lose some support that we have. It's not the chief, but we're talking about tribal council, and it's a whole other ball of wax when you start working with council. I have full faith in this project. I have full faith in the team. Like I said, Jordan and I, we talked extensively on the phone. We ran into each other, out in the public. We both believe that we can repair whatever anybody feels is being harmed. And I'm still puzzled about what that is, but I feel confident that we know each other well enough. I know their board, I know the organization, have been a board member myself, that we can do that.
How many board members have resigned from Equalization in the past 6 months, 8 months?
One, yeah, Stacy Guffey, and that's when he, I think
I
he
know
had a
Barbara Duncan expressed some real reservations on the phone call.
chat.
She's very active. She's on our committee to protect the mound, and.
She expressed some real, on your board, she expressed some reservations.
About some specifics we need to talk about.
And that's what we need to, if we commit $100,000 to taxpayer dollars, you want to know some specifics. But I think y'all have done a good job. I mean, it's, I don't know what, some of the founding members of that Nequasi board, of course, are no longer involved. And that's a concern also.
Well, if they don't want to continue their term, we can't make them stay. They have jobs and lives and.
But there's a reason. Most of them have a reason. When you're committed to something like most of these folks, Bobby, forever and a day, they just don't walk away without a
What would
reason.
that be, Ronnie?
Stacy Guffey, for one.
He was running for political office.
And
He's the
won.
one and only.
He's the only person
I guess I go back to feeling blindsided, because if you're a board member and you have a problem with the organization, you should probably share it with your fellow board members and staff. So we can't fight against something or solve something we don't know what the problem is. And the chief's primary reason for bringing us together Friday was, what the heck is going on?
Going on.
And two of our board members got in touch with me, at least, to say, we don't get it. What's the problem? Now, all that aside, that to me, in Jordan, that needs to be water under the bridge. We'll work that out. We'll get things back on track if they are off on track. The Quasi Initiative Board, as we know it, we didn't see anything, they didn't bring it to us. So it's really hard to read a mind. You just can't.
And Chief came out of that meeting so excited to be moving forward.
It wasn't
So-
exciting enough to give you a check, though.
Oh, yes, he was. He just doesn't know what the number is on it. He gave us a vote.
When you get a
He brought-
picture of that check, come back and see it.
Well,
But he's got to get it through council, I guess is the other thing. And just the ongoing concern of mine is we need to have some confidence that the county is on board. I mean, they've stepped up a great deal. Town has much as they can in giving us funds to do little projects. So they've invested in us. Y'all have invested in us. And I think we've done a good job, and we've been good stewards of the money that you've entrusted in us so far. I don't see that changing. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're gonna take action, make a motion, anybody on whatever? All right.
Mr. Chairman, I've said nothing. I've listened and read about this, and I'm also with the Frogs liaison to their board. And I looked at your letters here from different people, and I believe it is an asset, economic asset to the Franklin area. And I don't know what's in the mix out there, but me personally, I don't have a problem with committing $100,000. But I heard you say, if you don't get the $5 million, we get it back.
you keep it. You
Right.
never give it.
you
to
never
us.
give it to
Right.
Just pledge.
And that's fair to me. But I think the East Franklin area, I've been with the Frogs Board 7 years, and we're right beside Mainspring. I feel like we have a good relationship. Me personally, I do not have a problem with us going ahead and obligating the monies of $100,000. It's gonna come back to you tenfold, to us here. And I'm just not aware of the other things going on. But personally, I look at it from an economic standpoint. And I could easily vote tonight to go with the $100,000, and that's my position. I feel like it is a economic advantage, culture advantage. I believe in your letters here, it's talked about, it's about time we work this bridge together, and we will be identified as an area of Franklin that's with reasoned people, and we can do this. I think I saw part of the Zoom the other day looking at the Chamber of Commerce on this right here. I think it's a excellent site plan. I just hate for it to get lost, because I think we could use that in the East Franklin area. And we'll get our money back. But again, I say for me personally, I support the $100,000 and your energy, and appreciate what you've done to this. I don't know the particulars. I'm just telling you, it's an economic
Yeah.
thing. I'm with the EDC board. We haven't heard this discussed, but that's economics too.
Yeah.
And anytime we can enhance our our area economically, intellectually, culturally, from the educational standpoint. I think we need to bridge this historic gap, and make something positive out of this.
Absolutely.
That's
And
me personally.
And thank you, Mr. Shields. And one thing I'll say is, in the very early days of the Niquosi Initiative, going back to Mountain Partners, before we were even a nonprofit, Franklin was the vision for the gateway to the cultural corridor, which is far expansive than what this is. If we were able to get this project off the ground, it would be quite a gateway. And the other thing is, we have sold it to the tribe and council as purely cultural preservation. They know they're not going to get a lot of economic impact out of this, but it's that important to them, and they want to be a good neighbor, and they want to be a good partner. So this would be a wonderful thing for everyone. And again, I think whatever feathers might have got ruffled, ours included, I think we can work that out. I'm confident. I had a great conversation with Jordan.
We got Mr. Tate, sometimes I choose not to hear things.
Is that what he's doing?
My wife calls it selective hearing.
I'm speaking on how I feel.
Got you.
I'll be glad to
I appreciate that.
support $100,000 in any capacity.
Yeah.
I don't care if I'm on one vote for it, but
Well, if you've been in politics, you understand the challenges, and we certainly do, but we just see this as really the golden ticket. If we can get this grant, it would be just wonderful.
$5 million.
$5 million.
Yeah. And I'd like to welcome
Who
you
will be in
guys.
control of that money? Let's say you're successful, who controls the $5 million?
The Southwestern Commission has offered to be the financial.
Familiar with that thing?
I know you are. They've offered to be the financial managers for the
We've had that
project,
discussion.
and also to be the compliance managers. So we get this really high-level team to really make sure everything falls into place, which
Well,
is
I agree with Mr.
fantastic.
Shields, I wouldn't have a bit of trouble, but the only thing I'd like to, before I could, if Mr. Shields want to make a motion contingent upon, that we see the support from Mainspring,
That's fair.
we see solid support of the $450,000 that was listed from the Eastern Band, and the town of Franklin.
I could show you the 450 on a resolution
Well,
on my
that's-
computer today.
But that ain't, when it go, well,
But-
I think we just need to see more commitments from the other partners, and they're not, certainly not waiting on Macon County, I'll assure you. If the Eastern Band wanted to go ahead, they could write the check.
Yeah,
So-
but they wanted to know what that check amount is based on what
Like
you
I
guys
told them
come
on
in
the
under
call,
and
you know,
such.
we're gonna follow the Eastern Band of Mainspring's lead. That's exactly what I said on the call.
I heard you.
And contingent upon that, if we see something where they're all on board, and the town of Franklin, which is a major, I think Paul is exactly right on that. So, you know, with that, contingent upon that, Mr. Chairman, I wouldn't have a bit of trouble supporting it, but we have not saw that.
Can I also just invite you guys to offer up some sort of a liaison from your group to the committee that is very actively pursuing this? I think that would help you feel more like you're directly engaged. Just an invitation. I know you guys all have a lot of committee commitments, but want to make that open to you.
I think we're a beneficiary of it, of
Yes.
financial economic standpoint.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, we. I
And
think we
Tommy
had
Jenkins has
lifetime
been very
Mainspring to be here,
involved.
if I'm not
It's
mistaken.
written form there.
Tommy Jenkins has been very
We
involved
asked
all
him to be
along.
here.
That's
If-
my reservation right there.
If Eastern Band, they've not given you a number yet, Bob, right?
No.
How do you make grant application if you don't have a number tagged to each donor or each?
We'll get it in time. from
And that's
them.
half of the money.
Yes.
Yeah.
Eastern Band is 50% of the money.
Yeah.
And their meeting is when?
Well, I'm not sure that it has to go to tribal council. I think that the chief can go individually to the council members. I asked him today what that number would be, and he couldn't come up with a number that quickly.
He will probably go proxy out to and connect with them individually to get a decision on a
And-
number like that, would be
and-
my guess. Also, he's getting married next weekend, and so his schedule
The
is
22nd, actually.
kind of compressed.
Yeah.
You going one evening?
Another,
I wasn't invited, I'm insulted.
another statement to pick
My
hurt
son
my ears a little
was.
bit is that they realize there's not much economic impact from this.
For them. What?
Oh,
Who said that?
For
Oh,
the
no,
tribe.
she
Oh, no,
meant-
directly. I mean, they were at questioning how we going to benefit economically when it's in Franklin and all the development is there. And we pretty much said, well, the corridor will lead, I mean, you know, we made the case. But they settled on cultural preservation being very important, that the mound is critical to us as a people, so they're willing to invest in it.
Is the corridor down the river or across the mountain?
But when I say corridor,
Yeah.
I'm talking about multiple county.
But it has a direction through it or a trail.
We have a map, actually.
Yeah.
Have
It's
we?
basically, what it does is it links Franklin to Cherokee.
Right.
So that the tourism benefits both back and forth reciprocally.
And beyond, if we can do that.
And if we're waiting to see a financial commitment from the tribe, keep in mind that they already have $420,000 invested down there when they bought Dan's Auto, in the hopes that that would start something like this, and now we have the opportunity to follow through on it, and now they're willing to commit again. So,
Well, I'll make the motion then,
Thank you.
that we make, we have to have it worded. And this is from the economic standpoint, the cultural standpoint, educational standpoint, bringing two groups together historically to build a bridge, then invite other people to come and see Franklin, North Carolina. And we don't have enough hotels, but maybe we can at this point in time. So I make the motion that we do obligate, may have Tibbetts word, obligate the $100,000 pending on the $5 million, what, help me?
Did you put the contingencies on it? Or do you want the contingencies like, do we know, we don't know nobody else has committed anything?
Well, I think.
We have commitments from Dogwood Health Trust, cash commitment higher than what we're asking you guys, and from our board of directors also, so there
It's
is a,
not tax dollars.
it's not tax.
Dogwood Trust is not tax dollars.
But I think, and my thinking is we'll get the return back on.
Oh, yeah.
And, if they're waiting for us to make that move, then we make it. See if you got the heart to follow us through.
Thank you.
And you need to expose this weakness or strength at this time. If they're waiting on us, then me personally, I'll be glad to make the motion that we proceed and commit the $100,000 and pending on the
Receipt of the grant.
$5 million.
With the accompanying budget amendment from fund balance,
From fund balance.
with
Okay.
and the accompanying budget amendment.
Okay. We missing more. We wrote that.
I got it.
And read it to us again.
You're gonna obligate, what is the name of the grant? The EDA grant?
EDA ARPA grant, I guess is the way to,
You're gonna obligate $100,000 for the EDA ARPA grant for matching funds and the accompanying budget amendment from fund balance.
Right. For us to be.
contingent upon receipt of that EDA grant.
Yeah, the $5 million.
And I can support that, Mr. Shields, if we put it contingent on, we have the partners that's truly involved, which is the Eastern Band, Mainspring, and the town of Franklin. Without their commitment, I don't think I can support the county stepping out there by themselves. If you had certain commitments from them, if we find out that, yes, here's the town of Franklin, they've not even discussed it, I don't think. And the Eastern Band, here's what we're gonna contribute in kind or in cash. and Mainspring. We've not, we asked for Mainspring to be here tonight if Niquosi was coming. And so, I could certainly support that under those, when the county manager is satisfied that he has those in hand of commitments from our partners locally, and the Eastern Band certainly.
I think I'd respectfully request that, I think that if the board's gonna be obligating the money, then the board would need to decide if you all are comfortable with the level of commitment you're receiving from those organizations. I don't feel like I would hate to make that decision and go ahead and say it's good whenever one of the board members was uncomfortable with the level of support from one of those organizations. I'd like for you all to see them, and then if by consensus of the board, if I could show not to have a meeting outside of a public setting, but if I could get the letters of commitment that we're articulating here and send them to each board member, and each board member respond back by yay or nay if they're satisfied with these letters of commitment, then we could take action at the next meeting to ratify the poll of the Board of Commissioners.
I could support that.
And I think adding to that, and where we are in this motion here is that.
We don't have we ain't got a second yet.
Right, but if we're looked at as the leader in this, due to the beneficiary things we're gonna receive from it, if that's what they're looking for, then, in my opinion, let's put it out there and let's see if you got nerve enough to follow a lead with a leader. And it's here, we're gonna benefit from it.
Just to add to that, the Eastern Band has given us, what, $300,000 in operational? So they contributed on the small side in partnership with the county and the town for a couple of years. And then we asked them for operational expenses, and they gave us $150,000 for 2 years, and they just renewed that. So the feeling of the council is, when y'all going to quit coming to us and asking us? And we're hoping this will be a catalyst for us to be more independent as well. And so it's just a win-win. And not that we couldn't go back and ask, but if the county isn't stepping up, and I'm a little confused as to where you don't see the commitment from the Eastern Band. I'm not sure where that comes in, but they are. And whatever it is we need to get, we're happy to get.
How many commitment letters? You mentioned at Dogwood Trust, all of these people are committed in writing. Oh, how much, we gave some money to Niquosi earlier in the year, or we allocated, how much was that?
25,000.
25,000?
This year?
No,
Mm.
not yet, that
No.
was last year,
That was in last year's budget.
last year's budget.
We've given money to Niquosi for the past
2 years.
2 or 3 years.
I would, I know 2.
Yeah, I think it's
Pretty
2.
sure.
Yeah.
It was 2.
We're the largest, and we were the largest givers out of any government funds, taxpayer dollars.
Oh, you hadn't seen this?
My fingers did.
All right, we had a motion on the floor by Commissioner Shields. Sounds like potentially with some contingencies.
Does your motion include the contingencies or just go with obligating the funds?
Obligating the funds and see if they've got enough nerve to follow us.
So it doesn't
Come on.
include, waiting on anybody else. It's,
No,
his
it's
motion
there.
is,
And if that money doesn't come in, we haven't spent any money. But
his
we've
motion,
committed to them.
so it's obligated $100,000 for a grant match on the EDA ARPA grant and the accompanying budget amendment from fund balance.
Sounds good.
So that obligates $100,000 of the fund balance.
Yes.
Yes. And I think it's a projection showing that, what I heard tonight, they're looking at us to be the leader, okay? Here we are. And let's move. Now let's see what you're gonna do.
And we'll challenge him just like we're challenging
We got
anybody else.
options here. I like Derek's option. But I'm one guy. Cheers, Jimmy.
And I can support it, but I can't support it without the caveats that I live.
All right. Well, we're trying to work a consensus here. My caveat, Commissioner Shields, is I agree with you in principle, but my caveat would be, just like, if I've mentioned Highlands a couple times, if we're gonna do something in Highlands, I wouldn't expect us to do it without the town of Highlands being on board. So I would be happy with supporting it, but I would like to put the contingency on that the town of Franklin is gonna support it also, because if they're not, whether they do it financially or just with a letter, because if they're not in support of it, then I don't want the county as a whole forcing something down their throat, so to speak, that they don't want. So I would be happy to support it with the caveat that the town of Franklin's on board, those elected officials, but.
I'm happy to get a letter from the town of Franklin and from Mainspring. I'm confident we can bring both of those to you very quickly.
But I think your time is narrowing pretty quickly.
It is.
Not by the next board, you have to have it prior to the next board meeting, right?
Oh, yeah.
Our board meeting.
Yeah.
So we've run out of time. Either tonight we do it or get off the pot.
I mean, you could make this go forward. You could make this go forward, pending that I bring you 2 letters.
Would those letters need to include, and I'm trying to think through everything, do those letters need to include the amount of match that each organization is
Yes.
proposing?
They have committed X amount, that we have told our board, we've committed X amount of dollars.
Mainspring's not going to commit money to what, well, that's not true. They're waiting on state and foundational money to
We've
purchase.
not seen nothing from Mainspring that they support anything.
I will bring you a letter that says they do. They
We talked
voted,
to
they
them
have
today.
What is
voted.
this, Ronnie, if
We-
it's not
we
their
talked to them
support?
today.
I believe you. They also are on record in our minutes of our meetings as approving all of this.
I think you're running out of time.
We
And
sure
that's
are.
the reason that I'm saying what I'm saying.
Thank you.
And either you lead or get off.
Yeah, and we appreciate your,
Macon County, in my opinion, is gonna be the beneficiary of the economic part, the culture part, the relationship part, and the educational part. You're gonna have people coming here, different economic people, different colors of people, and it's gonna be a culture center. And I think it's mentioned here in one of your letters, about being a cultural district.
Commissioner Shields,
Yes, sir.
I don't think we're gonna have a second to your motion unless we put a contingency on it,
I just don't know if you
the
can.
support of the
get that.
others, so.
And I understand that, I don't, but it's just the way I feel.
so if you put the contingency on it and I get
It's a
you,
simple contingency.
I know, and I get you those 2 letters within the 2-week timeframe.
3 letters.
Oh,
Eastern Band,
okay, yeah,
Mainspring,
3
and
letters, yep. Then,
With the amounts that they committed.
yeah, which might not be anything, but we'll find out what that is. In the case of Mainspring is a nonprofit, they're not going to be able to commit dollars, but they're committing their support. So I'll get you those letters. If I have to go and
So,
walk over
Raise
to their
money
house.
for Mainspring because they're raising
Mr.
money for
Shields
the
needs to
eastern end of the
change
all right,
project.
Mr. Shields, you're gonna change your motion to allow the contingencies?
And you don't have to.
Well, I'm not sure your time is gonna allow you, the one I heard a while ago, you're in a time crunch.
But we can't help that.
I-
Mr. Shields.
I
It's up to
Right.
them to have that stuff that we've asked for. It's not up to us to say, you
Right.
know, we can't help their time crunch.
You can pass the motion or whatever it is contingent upon receiving those letters within 2 weeks. And if you receive them within 2 weeks, then everything's clean and straightforward. Right, Derek?
If that's more amenable.
I want to, he's first got to, before we can start talking about another motion, he would have to retract the motion that's on the floor.
or it can die from the lack of a
Or
second.
if you don't want to retract the motion, then the motion's on the floor, and it would have, if it doesn't get a second, then the motion dies.
Then you can make that motion, what we're talking about. I like to stand on the ground that I make it, and then vote it down.
Think I'll pass.
Okay.
All right, Commissioner Shields, I'll tell you again, I just can't support that because I don't want the town of Franklin to me, I need to have their support as well. I just haven't had a conversation with them. If I'd had a conversation with their mayor or board member and said they were on board,
This is their
it'd
turn.
be easy. So, yeah, that's,
This is
I
their
agree,
turn.
I agree. But I don't mind supporting.
Yeah.
'Cause I-
Oh, absolutely.
So, but with a new motion, with that, I'd be okay with it.
So we need to
Call the question.
call for a
Better
question.
be quick, I gotta go to the bathroom.
I missed 2 votes, so not going to the bathroom.
We're not calling the crowd, we didn't get a second to the motion, so.
Motion
Okay.
dies for lack of a second.
All right, now, can you go with that motion along with your,
I don't think I'll get a second on it either. So, but I can give it a shot. I'll make a motion that we authorize $100,000 to become out of fund balance under the contingency that we see support satisfactory to this board, support from the 3 following organizations: the Eastern Band, most important, the town of Franklin, and Mainspring. Those 3 entities, I think is vital to make this successful. They have to be involved in a big way, and the county cannot go this alone, and we know that, Niquosi knows that, and so when we see the commitments that satisfies this board, then I'll put that in the form of a motion, and whenever we receive that, then Derek can poll the board. We've made it all public. There's nothing to hide. And so I think with those caveats, I'll put that in the form of a motion,
All right,
Mr.
we have a
Chairman.
motion by Commissioner
I'll
Bill.
second.
We have a second by Commissioner Shields. Any further discussion?
Man,
Go ahead.
I guess some of my largest concerns right here on the minutes from the last meeting. Commissioner Young and Commissioner Bill requested representatives from Mainspring be in attendance so their input could also be heard. It's right here from the minutes from the last meeting. I have a hard time pledging tax dollars. And it's nothing, no disrespect, but I have a hard time pledging tax dollars when I really don't, have anything concrete here. And so I feel like there was time to have the proper, procedures, prepared, or proper documentations, and to have the proper documentation here before this meeting. So it's nothing personal. I would probably support this at a different date and time when it's kind of laid out, with more concrete detail. So I appreciate your time, and thank you for driving over here from Cherokee. I want to say thank you. So,
Paul?
Do we have to, as far as allocation of funds, is that a verbal? That we're committing $100,000 contingent?
Contingent, right, on these things, and once it, if the grant fails, then we're not out anything. But if it goes to be successful, and the Niquosi board is successful in raising $1 million, and their application's approved, but once we've approved this motion or not approve it, if it's approved, that $100,000 is automatically set aside out of their budget, taxpayer dollars.
Yeah, and I agree with Josh. If the board, and we were just reviewing this, is requesting something to be presented to us, and it's not presented, that delays everything. So I think it would have been just out of respect if the 2 commissioners, maybe all of us, requested that we have certain evidence presented before us to make a decision. It's not there. That simply delays it. So I can concur with Josh on that.
And just so I'm clear, the motion is to obligate $100,000 to obligate $100,000 for the match on the EDA ARPA grant and the accompanying budget amendment from fund balance, contingent upon a satisfactory show of support from the Eastern Band, the town of Franklin, and Mainspring. And a satisfactory show of support is going to be when these letters come to me, I will then distribute them out to each board member via email, not for discussion. And each board member will then respond to me yay or nay if the letters of support they are seeing meet their definition of satisfactory. Each board member will respond to me yay or nay. And at that time, when I have gathered responses from the 5 commissioners, I will inform Nikwasi Initiative, and we can then take action to ratify that at our next meeting. I think
And they
this-
can still put that on their application.
Did
Well-
you just run out of time?
Well, if one
No,
of the,
they're not out of
That
time.
would work.
but
They
if,
can work.
We just have to have a letter that we can send in.
but that letter couldn't be produced until
Y'all agree on
there was a majority of board members say that they.
And
this
that can
met-
be done rather quickly, if we can get those letters and the amounts showing what they're obligated to.
But the term you put in there, Ronnie, satisfactory to us,
That's right.
that means that all of these pledgers,
Well, some of them is not taxpayer dollars. I'm considering, the only 2 taxpayer dollars you're gonna get is, well, in the Eastern Band, it is federal tax dollars, and from the town of Franklin. Now, the Mainspring, I think Juanita said, they're a nonprofit. But since they hold the majority of the land, they're a main player here. Mainspring is. And we've had a lot of discussions with Mainspring, and like Juanita said, Juanita's gonna be meeting with Mr. Smith, with Jordan, and they're gonna be working out some, whatever those differences might be, and that'll be great. But we need to see where that's been done, because they are a main player here, there's no doubt, but the main player is the Eastern Band. That is the mound, this is their heritage. At the end of the day, we can sit here and say this, that, or the other, but if the Eastern Band steps up and they say, yes, we're in full support as co-partners, whatever, and we obligate X amount of dollars, then I don't have a bit of problem with $100,000 from us. Because we have a good relationship with the Eastern Band, and we continue to grow that relationship as with everyone. But I think when you're talking about taxpayer dollars, see, when they talk about dogwood and all that, that's not taxpayer money. So, so I just think that to protect, our job is to protect the resources of the county citizen. I think that's one way you do it. If that not satisfactory, then
so the vote will come after you present.
Yeah, if everyone's satisfied when I receive these letters and send the letters of these organizations, if I get a majority in the affirmative for that, we can go ahead and produce a letter and draft the budget amendment and take action to ratify the consensus at the next board meeting. But again, just
we
to
need to
remind-
vote on this motion first before we ever, if it don't pass, it's a no.
We'll get you to the bathroom. Any further comments? Questions?
I'm a little lost here, I'm gonna have to get legal advice on this.
Eric's lost.
He's lost with us.
All right.
It's pretty simple.
Listen to the guy in the boonie hat.
You look good in that. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. So 3-2. Commissioner Bill, Shills, and Tate, affirmative. Commissioner Young and Higdon, negative. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank y'all for
Commissioner
your
Higdon, would you
time.
like for me to
So
recess?
we're off and running.
I don't think we have much more to go, honestly. Maybe you're
What we
wrong.
got? Well,
You need to, your age, you just. Can we take 3 minutes, Mr. Chairman?
All right, let's recess for 3 minutes. right, we'll call the meeting back to order. Commissioner Bill in there.
He's campaigning somewhere.
Consideration of bond agreement for Gemstone Village development. I don't see Mr. Allen here.
Well, Mr. Allen's out. He's due to illness tonight. He couldn't be with us. Real quick, subdivision ordinance, as you'll see in the agreements that are included in your agenda packet, the subdivision ordinance requires, it requires the subdivider to obtain a performance guarantee, which means any of the following. They can either do a surety bond, a letter of credit, any other form of guarantee. What this subdivider is going, that guarantee amount has to be for 125% of the development cost. As you'll see here, for phase 1 of Gemstone Village, there's going to be a $617,119 performance bond as stated in Exhibit B. So basically what we would be doing is approving this agreement. Then we will get the performance bond in the amount of $617,119 for phase 1 of Gemstone Village.
In phase 2,
Then there is not a phase 2, there's a phase 3, section 1 that we'll do separately. That is going to be, this satisfaction is going, it's not, this one's not going to be a surety bond, if I'm not mistaken.
that's a
Bobby,
step.
have you read this? Bobby Bishop?
This one's gonna be a performance bond in amount. The phase 3, section 1 of Gemstone Village is going to be in the amount of $189,185. And that
Ms.
will be-
Snyder, will you come and tell us a little bit about Gemstone Village?
You good at this?
We'll approve the
You
one.
do fine.
Gemstone Village is a retirement community, over 55, highly restricted. Phase 1 will have 37 sites for manufactured housing. I have contracts with Champion Homes out of Lillington, North Carolina, and I'm also talking to Clayton Homes. Phase 3, Section 1, will be 18 townhomes, duplexes, basically, single story. Due to the fact that we could not get manufactured housing and I had to have something that was viable for sale. What we propose to do is put up certified check for both of those amounts, not performance bonds. We will give you a certified check for both of those amounts. And we're starting the construction. We're doing the erosion control as we speak, and we've had demolition of a couple things on the property already as of today. Prentice Bridge Road, before you get to Wayne Moss's place, a half a mile from 441. Yeah, the old Tig Dairy, right. And we are bringing water and sewer in. We already have a contract to bring water and sewer in from 441 with the town. And we're doing that. We have a contract on that as we speak.
And Mr. Hubbs wouldn't be here unless he's working with you.
That's correct, sir. Yes. Yes.
Tim, you got anything to add?
Yeah, what we're trying to do is, a bond would have cost us about $60,000. And as you all know, if you do much in banking, you can't get any money on, you can't get any interest on your money right now. So what we said is, hey, can we just put cash up instead of a bond? And so we'll put the cash up when we're complete and it's okay with everybody, then hopefully y'all give that back to us. So it's just really a way for us to accomplish it without a bond, but basically still a guarantee for the
Well, in
county.
my mind, the cash is much better than the bond.
Yeah.
I
The
certainly hope
bond,
so.
if you had- well, if you deal in building business, we have to do bonds, and I have to bond almost everything, and it is a nightmare.
It is.
And let's say a performance bond, just to get off in there, it can speak to that. If you have to cash in on a performance bond, that we have to, for every people that's working at the schools. Now, if something comes up and you have to go collect that, good luck.
Well, the other thing for you guys is, there's no risk as far as collection, but we've got a lot at stake now because we want that performance, that money back. So I think what we're trying to do is make it as easy as we can, give you all the assurances that you all need, and
Have you looked at it, Eric?
I have looked at it, I haven't looked at it as detailed as Kelly Ball, the other lawyer in our office, and she has a little more experience, but I have looked at it, and yeah, it's cash bond, so there you go.
You could.
That's a hard
That's the
lift
best
right
you
there.
can, Bobby, have you had any problem with that, or?
Put up
Did
that
you
much
talk to
money
Joe
is a
Allen?
hard lift.
Well, it is, and we bought the property we bought for cash. So, I mean, you can't ask for anything more than that.
And I'm proud you're there, because this is a big economic, it satisfies a lot of things for Macon County.
Exactly.
The housing market, the
Exactly.
economy. I appreciate your interest in investing in Macon County.
Thank you.
I know Chuck Siegel.
Yeah.
Don't hold that against me.
No, I understand. Chuck is my
Chuck
consultant.
Siegel, well, we can't approve it.
He's my consultant, but he's been a friend of mine for many, many years.
And I know it's been puzzling jumping through the hoops for you.
Absolutely, yes,
Uh,
absolutely.
And I apologize for that. I don't know how we can make it much easier, but I think it's something that we need to review this ordinance at some point, because you've invested a lot of money
Yes, we
in
have.
Macon County.
Well, the Macon County party's not been so bad, the town has been just as, I mean, the water and sewer's been the big deal.
Well, it is a big deal. We're talking about $1 million to bring the water and sewer into our property. We're talking about another, maybe about $80,000 to do the required wet well with the generator as a backup and so on, but the town is agreeing to take over our lift station, which is a big deal for us. Because it's not only is it a lot of money, but when you figure out how you have to have an operator 7 days a week when we're full, we're doing 145 lots. You have to have an operator 7 days a week, and you gotta make sure that he's there. And that's another situation. Once I sell out and turn it over to the HOA, it becomes a nightmare, just like everybody else that has the same problem.
You feel
And-
comfortable with it, Tim?
what's that?
You feel comfortable?
Oh, yeah, I feel very comfortable. And just so you all know, none of us are real young here except for maybe Josh and Derek, but we, one of the things that some people said, well, Joanne, you're, a little older than some of us, and are you gonna be around? And basically, the way our agreements are set up is I'll take over if she does not. Not that I'm capable of doing it all, but I think I know enough people that we can get it done. But we all want to make this thing happen, and we want to make it good for Macon County and the people that are
I
here.
agree with Commissioner Heaton. I mean, it is much needed and.
Well, I've been coming to Franklin.
There's no such thing as low-income housing. We've known of that.
Right. Well, I've been coming to Franklin since 1961. I mean, every year I came to Franklin, and I always
Tim was
said,
6 years old.
I'm sorry? Thank you
Mr.
very
Hubbard
much.
was
I'll give you your
6.
quarter tomorrow. Yes, I said that I wanted to retire in Franklin. Unfortunately, I haven't figured out how to retire yet. But anyway,
None of the
I
best
decided
of us
to
have
do
either.
this. I'm from the South, and I'm a developer from there, very successful developer in my own right for many, many years.
Motion to approve the cash bond, Mr. Chairman.
Phase one at Gemstone Village in the amount of $617,119. Got a motion by Commissioner Bill, second by Commissioner Young, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank
Can we
you,
get
Ms.
a,
Snyder.
can we get a motion to approve the second one, Phase 3, Section 1, in the amount of $189,185?
Motion to approve
Motion by
also.
Commissioner Bill, second by Commissioner Young, all in favor?
Aye.
I do want to say I love your energy, and thank you. Just a question, though, as far as economics go.
Yes.
Is anybody else allowed to tap into that water and sewer that you're bringing out there?
They would be able to along Prentice Bridge Road, and I think that the whole idea of approval of us getting this is for future development down the road.
That's where I'm going. You
Yeah.
know, this water sewer they put out west Old Murphy. I
Right.
mean, it was full. I mean, I just want to make sure we're building with.
Well, they have the
future plans.
capacity, and they have excess capacity over what we need. That much I do know. They did do upgrade of the sewer system, I think, a couple of years ago. They increased their capacity, but they have the water and sewer capacity
And
available.
outside the town, everything doubles.
I'm
Outside the
sorry?
city- Outside the city limits, the cost per month
I
doubles.
understand, yes.
A 1-inch line outside the city is $165 a month.
Just as an FYI, basically, we're paying for it to be delivered to, or the group is paying for it to be delivered to the subdivision. And we maintain that for a year, and then we give it to the town.
Town,
That-
It's
we
just
have to
exactly
operate
like the river
successfully.
being line, Mr. Manager. This is exactly the same.
Yeah, or the, you know, like Josh said, that line going out west of Murph, that, force main out through there.
Yeah. But the river bend line is where we took over, where we run a line, the county furnished the money to run the line to take care of the old system that had been failed. And we put up the money, and now if you want to hook to that line, it's $5,000 up front. And, then you pay, if you want a 1-inch line, that's what, you know, you recommend going into house. You can put a 3/4 tap.
Right.
But a 1-inch line is about $160 a month, plus you get the first 6,000 gallons free. Anything over that is $7 per 100,000,
Well,
per
we're-
1,000 gallons.
We're doing a master meter for water
Yeah.
on the
So
project.
It's not a cheap, but I admire you.
It isn't,
We're
it isn't
glad
a
you're
cheap,
doing it.
it isn't a cheap situation.
We'll help you any
and-
way we can.
Well, we're trying to do it so that it's reasonable for everybody. If they had to do everything, each item, we're gonna
They
include
couldn't
water,
afford it.
sewer, cable, and internet. And if they had to do that individually, it would cost them twice as much.
You gonna run fiber out there?
Yes, we are.
Good.
Yeah, I'm trying to deal with Balsam West, and we're in negotiations right now.
How many units are you talking about?
145 total units between the two. Be about roughly 66 townhomes.
That's a good hit.
And 80, I think it's 78 or 80 manufactured housing.
You're close.
I would like to ask one more thing. If we're gonna pass this bond for her, I'm sorry, if we're gonna omit the performance bond, can we make it a policy change? Sounds like it's in our benefit.
No, I think some
No, it's
people
writ-
cannot afford the cash bond. That's the reason we have the,
Right, and there is language in there
There's
right now
language in there.
that says, does require a subdivider to obtain a performance guarantee, which means any of the following: a surety bond, a letter of credit issued by a financial institution, or any other form of guarantee that provides equivalent
Which
security
cash
to the
is-
surety
there's
bond.
very few folks
With
gonna
the
come
check,
before us with
yeah.
what's
With
being
cash.
offered here tonight.
Check
That's
is-
correct.
is
Absolutely.
the gold
Good for you.
Sir?
Who have you talked to pertaining to your broadband? Is that area got? the
Balsam
broadband?
West.
Right. Is there any individual you've talked there?
Yes, Jason Maples.
Uh,
He's out of Greenville, South Carolina.
We're coming up that way.
And that's right along the corridor that this board.
They're
approved.
doing the line that's going down 441 now down to Auto, to the conference center, and then across.
Scaly?
Yep,
Back toward Thomas.
right.
Will you benefit from that?
Probably gonna cost me money.
But they could benefit from it.
They're gonna benefit from it.
155 units.
They will benefit from it, but it adds to their whole system. And, but I'm in negotiation with them now. As a matter of fact, I think they're going to put a tower up on the ridge on my property. I've got 13 acres I'm not gonna use. 5 acres is in woods, and they're gonna put a tower up, which is line of sight to Cali Mountain Tower.
So that'd be 150 feet tower?
I have no idea what it is.
It won't be one of those humongous towers.
I don't think so, no.
I think it's,
Just above the treetop, that's about it.
right.
We no longer have jurisdiction over those anyway.
No, I don't think so. And I think they have a
Move us
grant.
along. Okay,
Well,
thank
thank you,
you.
Mr.
Thank
Snyder.
you,
Tim.
Tim. Good to see you.
Item 11B, appointments for planning and inspection positions. Mr. Manager.
Yes, sir. With the retirement of Jack Morgan, we need to make some appointments so we can stay in legal compliance with our own laws as well as the state of North Carolina. The first, again, Joe Allen this afternoon, last second, had some sickness at home, so he had to deal with that. And he apologized he can't be here. But we will need to just authorize the appointment of Joe Allen as the ordinance administrator. You'll notice a lot, like the subdivision ordinance, a lot of those ordinances that we have, the watershed ordinance, the sign ordinance has that title of ordinance administrator. In Jack's absence, Joe will become the ordinance administrator for the purposes of all of our
So
ordinance.
you're just reporting on that. That's your
But
decision.
we just need the board to authorize that. to
Go ahead,
become-
we get a motion to authorize that.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Bell, second by Commissioner Shields. All in favor?
Aye.
And we will need to authorize Bobby Bishop as the building codes administrator. The appointment of Bobby Bishop as the building codes administrator.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Shields, second by Commissioner Bill. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Bobby was gonna sing a song. He was,
Who's gonna wear that hat?
Bobby's the new papa, if nobody don't know.
Did we gain a position there?
we are going to, there is going to be another position created. It's not, we dissolved the director position and we'll create another building inspector / fire inspector 3 position. It's not, we won't be creating a new position. It's just giving us basically another inspector position.
But we've got a fire inspector now,
We have a fire marshal.
fire marshal.
How
but he
many,
does
how
inspect.
many have you got, Bobby, now? Not counting yourself, inspector.
Me and David and Bobby. I mean, I guess you count Joe as one because he can do them. And
David.
David and Brent, but
In this new position, we're anticipating some turnover possibly in that department. They're already, as Bobby can tell you, certainly better than I, they're running full speed ahead with all the inspections, and we want to be sure that we're staying ahead of this and being sure that we have an adequate number of inspectors to be able to meet the demand that continues to
With
grow.
possible retirements coming up, it wouldn't be a bit too soon to start looking for.
They better hurry, that lady's fixing to build 155 of them.
You dang right.
So I would think, if you get with Bobby, I think it's not too early to be looking. I know you got Bobby and David both is looking at retirement.
you're talking about Bobby Fish or Bobby Bishop?
Bobby Pitts.
What about Bobby Bishop?
No,
We're
you're
talking
not.
about 10 years.
You just got a promo. You're not gonna go nowhere. But there's two right there that's gonna be gone.
Yeah.
So, they're not hard, they're not easy to come by.
All right.
Thank you, Bobby.
Can we get a motion to schedule the public hearings on the revisions to the Telecommunications Ordinance and the Airport Hazard Ordinance for the February 8th meeting?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Got a motion by Commissioner Higdon, second by Commissioner Young, all in favor?
Aye.
Schedule a date for the mid-year budget review session. Mr. Manager, what are you thinking?
I was thinking if the board's agreeable, February 3rd at 1:00 PM, that's what we've been trying to do it, midday during a weekday to save everyone Saturday.
1 PM?
Yep,
That's a Thursday.
yes, sir.
Good with me.
It's good for me.
In this room.
Yes, sir.
Thursday at 1.
Is that a motion or is that just consent?
Second.
We will just have to,
Consensus.
we'll have to recess this meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
Feb 3rd, 1 o'clock. Lunch?
We'll have some about 12.
All right, can we get a motion to approve the consent agenda
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
without the Recreation Commission?
Yes.
Okay.
Just the appointment's
That's
gonna be
consent.
separate, right?
Appointments, Lisa. Yeah, we got a motion by Commissioner Higdon,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bill, all in favor?
Aye.
Appointments, so Recreation Commission, we have 5 seats. These are the gentlemen that were on there prior, to my understanding, Jay Brooks, Timothy Crabtree, David Culpepper, Karen Townsend, and Jeffrey Weller.
What is the maximum on that?
The 5.
Or do we have 5 on it now?
Yeah,
And how long is these
We have-
terms? We got a man right here that's wanting to.
3 or 4 years, 3 or 4 years,
4 years.
4 years.
We have not met in a year now due to COVID, so.
Yeah. That was another thing that's kind of slowed everything down.
So is all these people agreed?
Yes, we have their
Yes.
applications in here.
I saw that application.
And those applicants are appointed by the recreation director?
They're appointed by the Board of Commissioners.
No, but I mean, they bring us the names. We don't
Their
advertise.
recommendations, yeah, and typically whenever you, will bring like the health board, I know we take the recommendation from the Board of Health and the Board of Commissioners considers that. And that was another reason that, I think the bylaws, as they were revised, had them all expiring at the same time. It's kind of, would be good if maybe we could stagger those terms on there a little bit to keep from everybody going out.
You have to change the,
And I would like to say, I mean, it seems like, from a public standpoint, it could be that somebody's handpicking these people and it's kind of a buddy-buddy. Is there a way that it gets advertised and there's an actual
Yes,
formal
we have
application process?
we advertise all of our,
So it goes in the paper?
yeah, it goes on our website.
Okay. It goes on our website.
Goes on our website. I don't think,
Maybe-
because, sometimes you get in a situation where some of these boards don't get filled for months, and if we were running ads in the paper every month for something, I mean, sometimes we've had some seats that are vacant for 6, 8 months.
Not all of them is gung ho as the rec.
I'm just thinking about this gentleman back here and several others, I'm sure, that if he was aware, I'm sure we'd have his application, so.
Right. And like I said, I'll be happy to take Mr. Platt.
And we can always look at expanding that board. This board has the ability to make it 7 members, 9 members, 22 members.
And this board at least needs to know when those vacancies come up. I mean, we may have suggestions. I don't like it being one person bringing us 5 names and wanting us to carte blanche approval. Health board is altogether different. The health director will put together the list, then it comes pre-approval to the Board of Health, then it comes to us. So there's one more, so I agree with
And it's
Josh.
different, but the health board, is specified certain things.
That needs to be eliminated.
Well, that's a state. But
That's the state. We need to work on the state on these boards.
I'm sure Carl Gillespie will take care of that.
Yeah, sure.
Can we get a motion to approve the Recreation Commission?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Young. Second by Commissioner Shields, all in favor?
Aye.
Board of Health, Jennifer Knapp.
Yeah, motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Higdon. Second by Commissioner Young, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Library Board, one member, Linda Tyler.
Yes. I'll make that motion.
Motion by
Tyler should be a
Bill.
great addition to that board.
Second by Commissioner Shields, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Economic Development Commission, 3 seats, Roger Plemons, Mark West, and Corey McCall.
All 3 of these are very active. I was liaison for many, many years there. And of course, you have Roger, who knows the financial end. You've got Corey, who's a local businessman. So all these folks are very involved.
Roger's our chairman now.
Make that a motion.
I'll make that a motion.
Motion by Commissioner Bill, second by Commissioner Shields. All in favor?
Aye.
9 members of the Community Funding Pool.
Been seeing your names on those.
Andrea Anderson, Patrick Betancourt, Bobby Cantino, Diane Cotton, Kyle Garner, Bonnie Potts, Karen Stillwinter, Karen Wallace, and Rick Westerman. Application has also been received from Jessica Jenkins of Highlands. I'll stand up for Jessica.
Well, all these people, that's probably one of the tougher things we ask any volunteer board to do. And I think these folks have always done a good job, Mr. Chairman. So I make a motion, we approve them.
Motion by Commissioner Bill, second by Commissioner Shields. All in favor? Aye. Board of Equalization and Review, 5 seats, Dwight Benson, Donald Holland, Gary Drake, Christine Flagg, and Richard Leitner.
Well, the Board of Equalization Review, which I chaired for many, many years, is, that's where people come in to complain or want their taxes raised or lowered. It's a very powerful committee. They can raise your taxes, they can lower your taxes, they can leave them the same. And,
You have 2 appraisers on there,
we got
retired
2
tax
appraisers. You got
administrator.
Donald, who's been in the development business. You got Mr. Drake, who's very knowledgeable about Highlands.
He's an appraiser.
And so,
Christine's from Nantahala. Christine Flagg's from
yeah.
Nantahala.
You got a motion to approve?
So moved.
Got a motion by Commissioner Young, second by Commissioner Higdon. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Community Advisory Committee,
This is just, Mike had told me, this is just for your information. These are appointments that have to be made by this board that we have not received applications for. So
looks like we're removing 3. Yeah.
just to get the word out there, yeah. This is, so there's no action there.
Okay. It does sound like we have a need for closed session, I presume.
Yes.
For property acquisition,
Yes, sir.
and we will be taking no action. Anything, Derek? Mr. Attorney, you good with it? All right, so can we get a motion to go into
So
closed
moved, Mr.
session?
Chairman.
Got a motion by Commissioner Bill, second by Commissioner Shields, all in favor?
Aye.
And just, I'm sorry, for clarification, that's to discuss property acquisition, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, potential property acquisition. So when we come out, we'll recess.
Commissioners, boardroom.
That's what we'll do. Come back out.
Jimmy, table be furnishing lunch.